Welcome back. Brandon Marcello, 24/7 Sports. And Brandon, the Super League is the buzz around the college football world today, and the proposal that College Sports Tomorrow has come out with. And I, just as a fan of college football and seeing where things are going and it's so chaotic, I'm willing to forego a lot of the things I held on to in the past for stability in the future. I don't think that the conferences necessarily would do that, but I don't see at least many drawbacks to it in something that needs to be completely redone anyway. Like, I'm willing to accept that and let go of those things. Do you think the power brokers can get to that spot?
Well, it's a very complicated thing, but I'll say this. I think it's going to come down to what the school presidents want. The conferences really have no say in all this. Now, they might get some of those voices involved in the conversation here over the next couple of years. But really, if they can get school presidents involved, those are the ones that matter because they'll leave the conferences. They're the ones who make those decisions. But what's interesting about all this, and there's multiple layers to it, is that, we're just talking about college football right now. All the other sports, theoretically would remain in their conferences. And so that makes it weird on that level as well. Secondly, you really need TV partners involved in these discussions in the first place from the get-go to kind of kick things off to see what's going on. I just don't see how here in the very short term you can get all the presidents involved and interested in doing this and then go to the TV partners and say, hey, let's blow up all of our contracts we have and start anew. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of more juicing you can get out of this grape, so to speak. And from that, how much more money can you really get from your TV partners? I just don't see how, from all the studies and everything you've seen, how much more money you can actually get out of them for one package deal, so to speak, through college football, which would have to be through multiple partners anyway. Having said that, the fact that this has been talked about for the last year or two and is coming to light here lately certainly shows that there's a lot of schools out there, or I shouldn't say a lot. There are certain schools out there that want to see this conversation ramp up. And let's be clear, the reason why that the only university presidents or leaders you saw quoted in the article yesterday by The Athletic are the schools like Syracuse and West Virginia, which are kind of on the outside looking in anyway as Power 4 programs right now. They're on the periphery of all of this right now. And you don't see an Alabama or a Michigan or anybody like that talking about this. And for that matter, when we talk about the College Sports Tomorrow making their presentations and pitching these ideas, there's a reason why the SEC, the Big 12, and the Big 10 have said, hey, we don't want to talk about this right now because they want to stand pat with their current TV offers. They won't want to let go of their own power. They feel comfortable where they're at. But again, if there's going to be any movement toward this, you're going to need to see more presidents from the university levels talking about this, not necessarily the conference commissioners or, for that matter, big-time boosters or anything like that behind the scenes. It's going to have to come on the academic level with the president.
That's a problem, though, right? Because, if you just base it on a lot of the decisions the president's made, and most recently I'm looking at the Pac-12, that was because of the presidents.
Exactly. And listen, every single decision that comes down, practically every decision, comes down on a conference level, SEC, Big 12, the ones that have the final say are the university presidents. The buck stops with them. Same with the college football playoff. Now, in a lot of ways, things get rubber stamped by them because the athletic directors and others make the decisions, and then they pitch it on to them for the final vote. But for something like this, you would need to ramp that up the vine, so to speak, all the way up to the president and have some push from the president to get this done. And I don't see a lot of university presidents out there, especially at the top of the food chain, going, hey, yes, let's pursue this. Let's really look at this, especially when we're talking about a situation where no one quite knows what kind of money they could get out of all this. And secondly, I think as history has shown us, college university presidents, when it comes to athletics, they're not necessarily forward-thinking people. They don't try to get out ahead of problems. They kind of wait until everything dies on the vine, and then they try to restart. And that's why the NCAA is the way it is. Everybody wants to throw stones at the NCAA, but you know who makes the rules and the people who vote people and put people in power? The university presidents, the universities themselves. They have no one to blame but themselves. So to act like this is just going to be something completely new and it's suddenly going to be blown up and it's going to happen tomorrow, I think that's far-fetched. There's a lot of things that have to happen. But I'll say this. This has been talked about for quite a bit and it has been ramping up a little bit. But again, you're not seeing any of the big boys coming to the table and saying, hey, let's really look at this. They're not even really examining it from that standpoint.
Brandon, how much do you think that the shakeup that could happen in the ACC would maybe change some minds?
I'm not sure. It depends on exactly what would happen with the ACC. When we talk about shakeups there, in my opinion, should moves be made, it'll obviously be Florida State and Clemson, but I think the North Carolina schools wouldn't be far behind, and you would potentially see the ACC maybe dissolving. And again, I think that also shows you why the ACC was much more willing to have that presentation presented to them by College Sports Tomorrow, the only power conference to accept them in the office to talk to them, because they're open to ideas right now. They know that there's a potential for death in the ACC. The SEC, the Big 12, Big 10, they're not facing that. They don't want to talk to them about this because they're the ones who hold the power right now. And also, again, why would the Big 10 and the SEC want to give up any space at the table right now when they are obviously the big dogs at the table and then themselves have formed their own committee to discuss the future of college athletics? Why go do this and work with everybody else right now? I know the great thinking out there would be for everybody to work together and save college athletics. But again, everybody wants a bigger piece of the pie at the end of the day, and the SEC and Big Ten are probably not going to want to relinquish that.
So really the only way that would be relinquished is if the current format just flops in a way that doesn't make them the money or work out the way that they intend it to, which again, given everything we've talked about here, especially since they set the dominoes to fall almost exactly their way every time, seems a little unlikely.
Yeah, like the past has shown us, the system fails and then they change. That's just how it's always been in college athletics. You're seeing it with NIL right now. They've been scrambling for several years trying to figure out what to do. They never got out ahead of it. And the NCAA being taken to court time after time again. And potentially the thing that could get some of these schools, maybe more of them involved, is the upcoming case, the case that's going on right now about back pay potentially for college athletes. And certainly looks likely that's going to happen. We're talking maybe multiple billions of dollars that all these universities are going to be the hook for. But if the SEC and Big Ten are sitting there going, well, we know we're going to have to pay that money, but we feel comfortable with our TV deals and how much money we're getting, so we don't want to pursue blowing this whole thing up and doing something with everybody else when we feel safe right now. Is there a movement out there for the common good, for the health of college athletics, for the health of college football? I'm not so certain about that because, again, while College Sports Tomorrow, this story came out here recently, that's been talked about quite a bit for a while now. And even in the face of that, the Big Ten and SEC said, we're going to go do our own thing and form our own committee to discuss the future of college athletics. I think this thing has a long way to go before it actually gains any serious traction. Having said that, personally, my opinion, it certainly is an enticing idea. It provides structure. It provides some interesting aspects to it when we talk about relegation and promotion. It certainly maybe excites you a little bit. Plus, you would have 10-team divisions potentially where it would be more regionally based. So we'd maybe get some of those old matchups we're accustomed to seeing in college football. But again, man, you're talking about getting 70 to 80 college presidents on the same page in this day and age. And with everything going on, they have never really been proactive. And I just don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, especially, look, half the Pac-12 needs college presidents right now. they don't have any. They've left. So it's not as I guess static a job as it used to be. I mean, I remember when I was in college, it was kind of like a Pope job. You had it until you died or didn't want it anymore. And now that's really not the case.
No, it's not. And then these guys, and they come and go. They get fired a little bit more often, it seems like these days. And yeah, I'm with you. I just, maybe the thing that's hanging above them right now is that court case and the potential of having to face billions of dollars and paying out billions of dollars in damages. But how fast that thing could be settled and everything, be settled with that, I don't know. Again, it just seems like every decision when it comes to college football and college athletics comes down to the 11th hour, or it happens well after midnight when the explosion's already happened. And the reason for that, for the most part, is because there's just so many moving parts and so many people involved. You're not talking about, a 30-team league where they have structure that was started up and they are running a business. You're talking about academics in the academic world trying to run college athletics and oversee everything on their campuses, but also work together with hundreds of other presidents who they don't even talk to. This isn't the NFL, even if a lot of folks want to kind of model the new way after the NFL, which probably would be the best case thing to do. But again, too many cooks in the kitchen.
Absolutely. Brandon, thanks so much for joining us today. Just wild stuff always happens in college football, and we'll see where this goes. Thanks for joining us whenever you do, and I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Brandon Marcello, 24/7 Sports with us here on 365 Sports. And again, he really did bring out that, here's where the university presidents are. And, if you were at a Pac-12 school right now, would you have any faith in the president of a university?
Absolutely not. They've given you no reason to.
Yeah. None. Absolutely none. It's insane. No, absolutely none. So, yeah, I don't see any reason. I don't see any reason to think this is going to get done anytime soon. And I do think there's going to have to be a crash.
Yeah.
The rest of college athletics, all these lawsuits and things are going to have to really overwhelm. And the thing is, the SEC and Big Ten aren't worried about them.
No, not at all.
Well, just tell us what the rules are and we'll
adapt.
We're fine. And then all these other schools are like, well, yeah, but we can't just, throw cash at this problem like you can. And even then,